which is that stuff's made in the first few minutes after the Big Bang.
Yeah, because it was a big nuclear reactor then.
Yeah, but that's the question. Is that I can't remember what you called it, but that field that collapsed in on itself. What did you call it?
Oh, the inflaton field.
The inflaton field, right?
Yeah.
How does that create in the reaction of the Big Bang?
So that's before the Big Bang.
Yeah,
so you
but
get this thing.
that's all there is. And
What
then
happens?
the Big Bang creates lithium and helium in the first minute or so.
Yeah.
How?
So what happened was that in this idea called inflation, so the universe is expanding very quickly. This thing sort of draws to a close, and these particles called inflaton particles essentially condense out into space. So it's like almost like ice forming on your window, from water vapor. And then those things then decay. They're very massive, heavy particles, and they decay down into the particles, the quarks and electrons and all that stuff out of which we are made. So that's the theory.
And in
So they
very
emerge
simple
and then
terms,
decay.
all the different elements are just percentages, numbers of atoms that are clumped together that
Yeah,
make
so-
them
so
heavier
hi-
and denser and all that.
So
So
hydrogen's 1 proton,
Yeah.
helium's 2 protons, and
Yeah,
2
I know
neutrons.
that.
and so
on
some of the fission
fusion stick together.
took collapsing stars to make half the elements, didn't they? And the ones
heavy
used for
ones.
life.
But the lightest ones, helium in particular, got made at the Big Bang, just after
Sure.
the Big Bang.
So, for example, carbon wouldn't have been
That's in stars.
made
Right, but
until the
helium-
That
first
doesn't get made in
collapsing.
the Big Bang.
That's Krauss's point that atoms to make life came from different stars. So the atoms in your left hand came from a different star than the atoms in your right hand.
Yeah.
And he says, "Forget Jesus, a star died for you to be live."
Yeah, lots of them.
But
And then the hydrogen comes from the
helium
first
can
few
exist at
minutes
great
in the-
temperatures. Is that right then? Because if helium's there a minute afterwards, presumably the universe
was
is
getting-
incredibly hot.
Well, it was
at
getting
that
a bit
point.
chillier.
Well,
And that's
even
why
a minute
it
after-
all
But it's just an
stopped.
atom, isn't it?
It
That's
had
the point.
stopped. By about 10 minutes, the whole thing had stopped. So no new elements were made after the first 10 minutes or so until the first stars appeared. And we're watching that now, by the way. We've got a big new telescope, which the headquarters is at Jodrell Bank in Manchester, but it's being built in Australia called a Square Kilometre Array. And that's going to look so far back, so far out into space, that it will be able to see the first stars forming.
Right, I've got to
Which
play
is
a
gonna be-
record because
Yeah.
David's face
Yeah.
looks like your granddad listening to someone talk a foreign language.
It always looks like that.